Today, I wanted to talk about the Israeli Palestinian conflict. And my interest in this conflict is not who is right and who is wrong. Quite frankly, I don't care one or another. That is none of my business. All I wanted to talk about was the African response to this conflict. Because when you go on social media, you'll find a lot of videos have been uploaded showing different battles and what is going on in that particular area of the world. And when you read the comments, you'll find that a lot of Africans are commenting and giving their opinions about what is happening between Israel and Palestine. And that is really what my interest is. And I was scouring through all these comments and I was making sure that I read what Africans were saying. And many, many times it is African men who are responding. And you could see that there was a quick, clear division between those who support the Palestinians and those who support the Israelis. And what is interesting is that when you go to Japanese and Chinese social media and you look at their position, I'm talking about the civilians, not the governments, about what is happening, you could see a very stark difference between how the East Asians would respond and how the Africans would respond to the same video. And in the case of the Africans, the division was strictly based upon religion. In other words, in the case of Africans, the Africans are divided into whoever their slave master is. So those who worship the Arabs will defend the Palestinian position, and those who worship the Europeans will defend the European positions. So when you look at the Asian social media and their commentary, you'll see that they're very neutral. They don't care one or another this way or that way. They don't feel beholden to any side. But in the case of Africans, they feel very, very beholden to one side or the other. And you could even see the Africans fighting amongst each other on who is right, because Africans have lost their identity. So that one group of Africans truly believe that they are Arabs and the other ones truly believe that they are Europeans. And you'll even see in their names, the group that supports the Israeli, they'll have multiple European names. And the African group that supports the Arabs, they'll have multiple Arab names. It's very rare to find Africans on social media taking a neutral line to foreigners battling, because the brainwashing with the toxic religions that are in Africa is so deep that these Africans truly believe that their slave master, be it the Arab or the European, that is their representative of who God is. So for the Africans that worship European paintings and statues and idols, their position is pro-Israel, because the modern-day Israelis are ethnic Europeans. And what is interesting is that Israelis are not the ancient Hebrews. They are not the ancient Jews at all. In fact, they have practically nothing to do with these ancient groups. These are just ethnic Europeans claiming an identity that is not theirs. And for the other group that follows the Arabs and worships the Arabs, you'll find that they truly believe that by supporting the Arabs, they're on the side of God. So, and I think this is tragic, because it shows that Africans don't have any self-identity. And I'm saying this because you won't find Africans right now taking a position on the war that is going on in West Papua. Now, let me tell you about West Papua. West Papua is a province of Indonesia that is populated by people who look exactly like Africans. Those are the indigenous people of that land. Now, Indonesia itself is populated by Asiatics who are not indigenous to the land. And for a long time, they've been abusing and really killing the black people of West Papua. And you will not find a single African taking a position to support that conflict, to support the black people of West Papua. Because we say again and again and again, brainwashed populations or enslaved populations generally don't show any solidarity to other enslaved populations. Like slaves usually will fight for whoever their master is. So if you propose to Africans, there's a conflict going on, every bit as bad as the one in Israel and Palestine going on in West Papua, what do you think they will not support the black people of West Papua. In fact, I remember like a few months ago, I think the foreign minister of Indonesia came to Kenya and met our president, and our president made some promises that they'll be given either visa-free entry into Kenya or something like that. But our president never spoke a single word in support of the black people of West Papua, and this is typical of African men. Today, it's very difficult to get an African man to support an African position or to show any kind of global solidarity to other black people groups around the world. And that is the extent of my interest when I was looking through. Look at all these comments. Look at all these Africans talking about, I don't know, the people of God. And it's ridiculous and it's tragic to show how much the African mind is brainwashed by these toxic foreign religions. So when you look at some of these comments, you can clearly see that these Africans are saying that it is the Europeans in Israel that are the quote-unquote people of God, which is absurd because from what we know about history, we know that the original populations of Earth were Africans. Before all these other people showed up, it was Africans. So if you take that scientific fact and you even overlay the biblical story on it, then you have to come to the conclusion that when God put people on earth, he put Africans on earth. Adam and Eve were Africans. So if Adam and Eve were Africans, then the children of God must necessarily be Africans. We know this for a fact, and without even going too deeply into where these other people groups came from and how they are hybrids of Africans, because they are mixed with the, non-human genes, because all non-Africans have non-human genes. It is only Africans who are Homo sapiens sapien. Every other group that is on Earth today is a hybrid between Africans and non-human entities. Now, if you ask the Europeans what they are mixed with, they'll tell you that they are mixed with the Neanderthal, the Denisovan, the Cro-Magnon. Okay? So we know that even from basic history that the original populations of Arabia, even of India, of most places on earth were Africans before this new type of humans showed up. So for Africans today, 2023, to claim that it is a group of Europeans who are the people of God is patently absurd and it's not even biblical. And you know what is so painful about all this? Especially when you focus on the Africans in Kenya who are supporting Israel, claiming that it is the Europeans in Israel who are the children of God. What is so painful is that the Europeans in Israel, the Mzungu in Israel, they really, really hate Africans. And they never shy away from showing us how much they hate us. For example, let me give you an example. There was a scandal that was revealed about what the Mzungu in Israel was doing to the Ethiopian Jews who had moved there. They were sterilizing all the Ethiopian girls, all of them, until someone, and they were sterilizing them under the guise that they were vaccinating them against one thing or the other, until a whistleblower started telling the Ethiopian community there that when you take your girls to be vaccinated, they're actually getting sterilized. That's why you have seen that your birth rate has really collapsed. So that's one scandal. The other time, the current Prime Minister of Israel, called Netanyahu, stated very clearly that Africans are worse than terrorists. You can see in this video.
מתקפות חמורות של גורמי הטרור בסיני, והדבר הנורא ביותר, הצפה של מסתננים בלתי חוקיים מאפריקה.
He was very clear that we are their number one enemies. They call Africans infiltrators. And if you really follow up on the depth of Israeli racism against Africans, you'll discover that the chief rabbi described Africans as monkeys.
לא הכושי מברכים, אלא צריך שיהיה כושי שאבא שלו ואימא שלו לבנים, איפה אתה תדע? אם אתה יודע, תקופה שאתה יודע,
וזה יצא להם בין קוף, יצא להם בין ככה.
And this was front page news. And even Africans who go to visit there, if they're being honest, they'll tell you that the incidences of Israelis spitting on them is very, very high. So, and this is the painful part of the brainwashed Africans, that we have so many of them, that it doesn't matter what a Mzungu will do to an African man. The African man will always bow down and kiss the Mzungu's ass. That it doesn't matter how much hatred, how much insult, how much humiliation. Most African men don't have any kind of backbone at all. They're always on their knees, worshipping a Mzungu statue, doing something that is absolutely reprehensible and embarrassing. And other men around the world generally don't behave this way. You won't find Chinese or Japanese men worshipping European statues. You won't, or kissing the Mzungu's ass. You'll never see that. You only find that amongst African men. And this is the influence of the toxic religions that totally dominate the mental life of most of our male population. And for me, that is my main issue with this, because as long as most of our men are on their knees, sucking up to Mzungu, then we shall always be poor as a nation. And that's the tragedy, isn't it?